guys, and welcome back to my kitchen. But in case this is the first time you're stopping by, my name is Gina and I'm a wife and mother from the Midwest, and I enjoy cooking fresh meals for my family, and sometimes I make videos of my recipes and I post them here on YouTube. Today we are going to be having a recipe for a dish called Plov, P-L-O-V, which is an Uzbek dish. It's the national dish of Uzbekistan, and I believe it's also common in Russia. Correct me if I'm wrong. But basically it is a hearty dish of rice, like beef stew meat, and then it's flavored largely with garlic. We're actually going to use 2 whole heads of garlic that are going to be cooked like as heads of garlic in the dish. So it's super easy. We're going to be making it in the Instant Pot, which makes it even more simple. And then I'm actually changing out the traditional rice for brown rice to add some nutritional value to that. I guess without further ado, let's jump on into our ingredients. So we are going to be using just plain beef stew meat. I have 1.5 pounds here, and we're going to go ahead and chop that into small bite-sized pieces, like a little bit bigger than taco meat, I would say. You need 2 whole heads of garlic. The first time I made it, I didn't have whole heads, and I actually just had cloves that were pre-peeled, and I did stick them in like a little foil packet kind of, and like made my own garlic head. But anyways, so you could do that if you wanted to, but you're supposed to use 2 whole heads of garlic. We're going to be using 1 whole white onion, or you could use a yellow onion. We're going to be using some shredded carrots because it's easier. We're going to be using some brown rice, and then the rest is just seasoning. So we're going to be using some Himalayan pink sea salt, cumin, coriander, and those are both powders, not the seeds. Some ground black pepper, a couple of bay leaves, a little bit of paprika, and then to saute our onions before we go ahead and drop everything in, and our beef, we're going to be using a mixture of 50% butter and 50% or so of olive oil so that the butter does not burn. I'm going to go ahead and get my ingredients prepped up, and I'll be back when we have our first step. Alright guys, so the first thing I did is I tossed just the olive oil, so 4 tablespoons of olive oil or 1/4 cup in the bottom of my Instant Pot and heated it up. And we are going to just saute the meat to brown it for about 5 minutes. And I did leave 2 pieces of meat out so you could see the size that I cut them up into. So I'd say they're about like little 1/2-inch pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and let this saute. And then while that happens, I'm measuring out the rest of our ingredients because the next step we'll be dumping in the carrots and the spices. And we do cook this dish kind of in a set of layers because traditionally you would cook this in a pot, and obviously you wouldn't disturb the rice. So I will be back when we're ready to add in our spices and our carrots, and I will let you know the measurements of our seasonings at that point. Oh, and I did go ahead and peel our whole heads of garlic, so you just want to try to remove as much of the papery outside as you can, and then just slice off the top so all of the cloves are exposed, and you want to leave the root end intact. And then I trimmed off as much of this little gross root ends as possible because I don't really want that in my food. When it's done, we will be squeezing the cloves out into the pot, so I mean they're not going to be in there in any case, but that's that. And then I did dice up our onion as well. So let me go ahead and get the rest of the spices in here with the carrots, and I will be back after this is nice and browned. Okay guys, so actually the next step is not the carrots. I don't know why I said that. So I wanted to make mention right now that sometimes when you cook stuff in the Instant Pot, there's not enough space to actually brown your meat or whatever you're doing because it's very deep and not a wide pan, so the meat kind of sweats. So our beef let off like a ton of liquid, and it was just kind of like boiling in there. So I poured off the beef juice or whatever it is, and I'm going to save that, and we're going to use that as part of the water that we need to add for the rice. But I did have to pour it off so we can continue to brown the rest of our ingredients. So now I've added in our 4 tablespoons of butter and our onion. And we are going to go ahead and saute this together until the onion is translucent. And then we will add in our carrots and our spices. So I will be back in a moment when this is ready to add the carrots and the spices. Alright, I tried to snuggle my Instant Pot like up next to my light on my microwave so you guys could see better because it is so steamy that I know the picture's not that great. So our onions are translucent. I feel like you can see that. And then actually we're starting to get a little bit of caramelization on some of our pieces of beef, which is desirable. And a little bit of fond on the bottom of the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up. And we are ready to add our spice mixture and our carrots, which is the next step. So I have 2 cups of shredded carrots in here. We have a whole tablespoon of salt, and then the rest are just half teaspoons. So half teaspoon of cumin, half teaspoon of paprika, half teaspoon of coriander powder, and a half teaspoon of black pepper. And we are going to go ahead and dump this in and just saute it until it's fragrant. So about 2 minutes. Get this mixed in quickly. We don't want to overcook the carrots because they are going to cook under pressure for like 33 minutes and then do the the natural pressure release for 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on pause really quick and measure out my rice and rinse it before we add it in. Okay, that is done. So basically we just kind of took the chill off of the carrots, and then I used the additional steam that's created by adding a new cold ingredient to the pot to kind of scrape up any of the fond or the brown bits that are at the bottom of the pan, because this will be your only opportunity to do that. And then just go ahead and get everything laid out in a nice layer here. Then we're going to be adding 2 bay leaves directly on top of this pile. I have like 2 medium-sized ones, but you could use 1 large one or like 3 small ones. Doesn't really matter. Go ahead and lay that like that. And then our liquid, we need a total of 3 cups of liquid. So this is about a half of a cup of the beef juice. So I'm just going to go ahead and add hot water. And hot water is desirable. Oh, sorry, I'm not even videotaping it. Hot water is desirable because the Instant Pot takes a long time to come to pressure as it is, so make it easier by making the water hot. And then I did want to mention I turned off the saute function because I don't want those carrots to keep cooking and become mush, which happened like the first time that I made this. I don't know why I'm dumping that. That's not the next step. Anyways, sometimes I get a little distracted because I'm talking and videotaping. The next step is to add the rice to the pot and then spread it out in a very nice even layer. This rice has been rinsed. You can rinse your rice or you cannot rinse your rice, whatever you want to do, but I'm rinsing my rice. Okay. And then now we want to add our liquid very carefully because we don't really want to disturb our pile that we just made. Sorry guys, it's much harder to add things to an Instant Pot in a pot or whatever while I'm talking and videotaping. So if the recording is a little wonky, I am sorry. So that was 2 cups. So let's add hotsy totsy. Another cup. That's a cup. You could totally use beef stock if you wanted to, which is what we did by adding that beef juice back to the pot. Or chicken stock, or like you could substitute some of the salt for like the beef norsuiza, I bet. Alright, so now here comes for the magic money maker. We are going to submerge our whole heads of garlic upside down with the cut side down into our rice. Let's kind of jiggle it in there. Okay. Next thing and the final step is obviously putting the top on, turning the vent to the ceiling function, and then, geez, I still have yogurt on here from when I made yogurt. Gross. Hit cancel again, and then we are going to put this on rice. You know what? We're not going to put it on right. We're just going to put it on pressure cook for 33 33 minutes. And I'm putting it for 33 minutes because last time I did it for 30 and I thought that like a couple of pieces of the brown rice were still crunchy. And I don't want to add any additional time to the natural pressure release. So 33 minutes is what we're going to try, and we're going to see if it's perfect texture. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cook, and I will be back when this says LO 10, meaning we've left it on for 10 minutes. And I'll wipe the nasty front of my Instant Pot, alright? Okay guys, so we're just about done. Waiting for this to turn to 9 minutes. Very patiently. I cook the girls some ham and eggs because they never want to eat what we eat for dinner. They probably won't eat this either, but I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say? Alright, this has been on 9 minutes for a long time. We've got to be almost there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the natural, or the quick release on the pressure. See? Yeah, there we go. I'm going to come back when the pressure's out because there's still quite a bit of pressure. This might take a minute or so. And I'll show you what it looks like when we open it up and what it looks like after we fluff it and when we serve it. Alright, so I opened her up and let some of the steam go out so you can actually see what we're working with. So as you can see, the rice is nice and tender. Our beef mixture is underneath, and I flipped over one of our garlic heads for you so you could see that obviously the garlic is like super buttery, soft, and tender. We are going to go ahead and take this carefully because it's very hot and squeeze. But, you know, I'm going to have to do that off camera. I need to get some tongs to do it because it's pretty hot. But you're going to squeeze the whole cloves of garlic back into the pot, and then we're going to fluff it and we're going to serve it. So let me squeeze them out and fluff it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so our garlic has been pulled out, and as you can see, it's like super fork tender. It's basically a paste because we made it in the Instant Pot. When you do make it in a regular pot, these would stay more whole, so that way like you would see them more in the final product. But we're going to go ahead and just start fluffing this. And because it's brown rice, you don't have to be super duper careful. Like, you're not going to mush it up because it is a very more of a grain texture versus like fluffy rice. And here we go. Here's our carrots. Alright guys, I've got to keep fluffing this. I will show you what it looks like when it's plated up, and we'll get a taste test, but I'm having trouble getting you to be able to see it anyways because there's so much steam coming off of it. So I'll be back in a flash. Alright guys, this is our finished product. It's not super photogenic, but it is a simple and delicious meal. We've got our tender rice, we've got our carrots, which are nice and soft, and then this beef, which, let me see if I could show you, is like fork tender. Like, you can just mush it. It's super, super tender. And then the garlic has just kind of dissipated throughout here because it was cooked in the skin, the paper. So it really... Don't be alarmed by the amount of garlic that this recipe calls for, because that's how it is authentically. And really the flavor is super mellow because it's basically like roasted in its skin inside of the Instant Pot or inside of your pot, however you cook it. So this just makes for a really hearty, warming, fill your belly kind of dish. Very humble and delicious. And I'm sorry that I can't get you a taste test because Daniel didn't come to the dinner table. I think he fell asleep. And the girls have already abandoned their eggs. So I am sitting here by myself. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by my kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make instant pot plov. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up. And if you liked it, if you could subscribe to my channel, that would be great. I'd sincerely appreciate it. And I totally get a kick out of watching my subscriber number go up. I don't know. It makes me way more excited than it should. I just can't believe you guys like to watch my little videos. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by and have a great day.